Welcome to our Pro Revenge, where OP disconnects the cable service, but the call center agents continue calling him to recharge. Initially, OP tries to tell them that he has disconnected the service, but continuously receive calls. So, OP finally decides to play with the callers. Whenever OP receives a call, he tells the agent that there is a problem with the set-top box connection to the TV and asks for technical help. OP gets 8 tech support visits. Let's dive into the story to see what happens next. I disconnected the cable service, but the company continued calling me to recharge. So, I took revenge by booking tech support to fix the TV I had already returned to the company. I had a smart TV at home, but no one was watching it. Everyone was using streaming platforms. So, I finally decided to disconnect the cable service. I contacted the company and requested to disconnect the service. They agreed and asked me to return the set-top box, which I did. A company agent collected the box from my home on the 8th of June. It was a good riddance, or so I thought. Starting the following week, I began receiving calls from random call centers for recharging. When I Googled, I found out that this was a common practice of such companies. The company had outsourced this part of the support to a third party, and they simply checked the printed database for people who had a connection, but did not recharge last month. Since my disconnection was on the 8th of the month, and their printed database was from the beginning, they did not have this updated information. I tried to inform the call center agents that I had disconnected the service, but the calls kept coming. Frustrated, I started talking to the callers, informing them of the fake problem my TV was having connecting to the set-top box. I even recorded the calls. One caller took it seriously and booked tech support, and a technician arrived promptly. When he asked what the problem was, I told him the real issue, and he left. Despite this, I continued to receive calls, and I kept booking tech service every time I got a call and informing the technician of the real problem. After 8 tech support visits, I got a call from a supervisor asking why I was booking tech support when clearly I didn't have a connection anymore. I said, "Why am I getting calls to recharge when I clearly don't have a connection anymore?" The supervisor said, "What do you mean?" I told him the whole story and also sent him the call recordings that I received from the call center. The supervisor said sorry, and I didn't get any call to recharge for that TV again. It was a very interesting revenge. I think most call centers deserve this. The story also shows that most call center agents are blind. They don't see whom to call and who their potential customer is. They just dial numbers and throw arrows in the air. OP is not alone. This is the story of all Americans. I myself receive 3 to 4 calls daily from call centers. I have even received many calls from the same number multiple times selling the same service. I have blocked hundreds of numbers. I will suggest to listeners do what OP did to such call center agents. They deserve it. Let's move to Am I the A-hole? Where OP uninvited his adoptive brother from his wedding because he said OP is not his brother, and accuses OP of being responsible for his mental illness and drug addiction. These accusations left OP disappointed, and he decided to uninvite his adoptive brother from his wedding. However, OP's parents say that if he didn't invite his brother, they would also not attend the wedding. It is full of family drama, so let's dive into it. I, 32-year-old male, am getting married to my girlfriend Emma, 29 years old, with whom I have a son, Liam, 5M. However, I am not going to invite my adoptive brother to the wedding, because he does not consider me his brother, and has said the same to my son multiple times. Background. When I was 14, my parents adopted a 7-year-old boy, James. From the start, it was evident that things would be challenging because James had many behavioral issues due to the intense trauma he had gone through after being assaulted by a pedophile. I did my best to be empathetic, but living with him was draining. His outbursts were frequent, and I constantly felt on edge, afraid of triggering him. As we got older, I always tried to support James, no matter what. A few years ago, he fell into severe drug addiction. It was me who took him to rehab and paid for it. I was always there for him. It was not an easy task, but I stood by him because I always considered him my brother. I never thought that he was my adoptive brother. For the last 5 years, James has been completely clean, and he has also come out of that childhood trauma. He is working a job in our family company, gets a handsome salary, and is doing very well for himself. Honestly speaking, it is due to my parents that he is enjoying his life. If he were working somewhere else, it would have been impossible for him to reach this position. I don't want to say that he is incompetent. The reality is that reaching the position he is on takes years of experience. His position in my parents' company is not the problem. The issue lies in his behavior towards me as a brother. While helping our son with his summer homework, which was about family relations and family tree, my girlfriend told my son that James was my adoptive brother, not biological. It was not a big deal because it was just a practical example for my son's lesson. However, during dinner, my son innocently asked James if he would like his name to be included in our family tree. James flatly replied, "No," and told my son that he didn't want to be part of it because we're not real brothers. Initially, I thought he was joking, but when I said to my son, "Uncle James is my brother, why would he not be in our family tree?" James got offended and said that he was not my brother. Instead, he was just my adoptive brother, and that he was unlucky to be my adoptive brother. When I asked him what he meant by this, he said, "You know better," and then he left my home. My parents were also there at the table. They tried to stop him, but he didn't listen to anyone. My parents started asking me what the problem was, why James said all this, and what I did to him. I was bombarded by questions from all sides. I told them by yelling that I didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't know why he was being rude to me. The following day, I reached out to him and asked him why he did all this. He said that I was responsible for all this, and said that he didn't have any mental issues, and I made him realize that he was a psycho, and that I did all this to score numbers. Also, he said that I was responsible for his drug addiction. I was utterly stunned and confused to hear all this from the person for whom I had done a lot, perhaps much more than my capacity. I tried to convince him that I didn't do anything like this, but he was not ready to listen to me. I returned disappointed from his home. After thinking about it thoroughly, I decided to uninvite James from my wedding. My fiancé has been nothing but supportive of my decision, but my parents are furious. They have said that if James was not invited, they would not attend either. I'm absolutely heartbroken that my parents would choose to miss my wedding rather than support me in this. I know James has been through a lot, but I've done everything I can to be there for him, despite all the heartache, and now I feel like I'm the one being punished for finally standing up for myself and setting some boundaries. Another thought in my mind is that some opponent of ours is trying to play him against me. I am just confused and devastated. I don't know what is happening and what is right and what is wrong. Aita for uninviting my adoptive brother from my wedding because he said he is not my brother and accused me of being responsible for his drug addiction. OP is not an AH. OP's adoptive brother is a big AH for being so selfish. OP has been helping him throughout his life, and now he is blaming OP for all this. OP's parents are bigger AH than OP's brother for forcing OP to invite OP's adoptive brother to his wedding. OP's parents must understand their biological son, and they should not prioritize their adoptive son over him, especially when he is in the right. This behavior is totally unjustifiable. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.